Good evening. I was asked to review this Pink Camera Magic video. She was arrested in Leon Valley. She went there with a sign. She did not enter their property. She stayed on the public sidewalk. She marched apparently up and down for about 2 minutes before she was approached by two Leon Valley police officers who stated that they had received a complaint from a citizen who worked there, and that Pink Camera Magic had the option to give them the sign and depart, or they would arrest her for disorderly conduct. She chose the arrest, and these two idiots were dumb enough to oblige her. So there you go. Now, I can only hypothesize about what the sign said, because without knowing what the sign says, I can't tell you whether or not she's going to be convicted or even charged, like formally charged, with disorderly conduct. But I'm going to assume, for the sake of this recording, for the sake of this video, that she had a sign which stated something similar to "fuck the police." I'm going to assume that, and with that assumption, I'm going to proceed. Now, remember, I haven't seen the sign, and so I can't tell you whether or not she has actually violated 42.01, which is the Texas Penal Code for disorderly conduct. But judging by their reactions, I seriously doubt that no matter what she had on her sign, that she violated it. So 42.01, really the only two potential ways that she could have violated 42.01 is to intentionally or knowingly use abusive, indecent, profane, or vulgar language in a public place, and the language by its very utterance tends to incite an immediate breach of the peace, or make an offensive gesture or display in a public place, and the gesture or display tends to incite an immediate breach of the peace. You will notice that both of them say that it has to tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace. It has to tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace. So whether or not she had anything vulgar on there, profane on there, indecent on there, abusive on there, it doesn't matter, unless it tends to incite an immediate breach of the peace. Now, what is an immediate breach of the peace is? It doesn't mean having goofy cops approach you and tell you stupid shit. It means there has to be actual or threatened violence. Actual or threatened violence is an essential element of a breach of the peace. The test is whether the words, when addressed to the ordinary citizen, are, as a matter of common knowledge, inherently likely to provoke violent reaction. This is Coggin v. State. It's a Texas Court of Appeals case. I chose a Texas Court of Appeals case. I chose a Texas state law case because this is a Texas statute. And of course, they will cite the relevant Supreme Court decisions, but this gives you an idea of what Texas says about tends to incite an immediate breach of the peace. Interestingly enough, in Coggin v. State, a guy flipped off a couple that was in another car as they passed each other. The couple in the other car called the police. They said that this guy was driving recklessly. The police cited him for like a headlight out, and they cited him for disorderly conduct. And the part of what the court looked at is what happened when they got flipped off. Well, it made him angry. And what they do, they called 911, they called the police. Well, exactly what happened here. It made the person angry, and they called the police. The way they reacted is very similar to Coggin v. State, which makes it very unlikely that there was a violation of 42.01, which means that Tweedledum and Tweedledummer should not have gone out there and confronted Pink Camera Magic, and should not have given her an ultimatum to give them the sign and leave, and should not have arrested her for disorderly conduct because of that. And this guy should not be a corporal, and this guy should not be a sergeant if they are out there making this kind of piss-poor decisions. And while Salvaggio is not directly implicated in this, Salvaggio is directly responsible for these two people being in relative positions of power, being a corporal and a sergeant. And he should have people who are more competent serving on his police force, who understand the minor nuances of disorderly conduct, And they should know that just because somebody's offended by a person carrying a picket sign, that doesn't give them the power to arrest for disorderly conduct. The picket sign, the language used, would have to tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.